Hey everybody. It's Marty the Party here, coding. I've had a very frustrating 3 sessions where I was dealing with a expression change after it had been checked error in the console log that showed up after I upgraded from Angular 18 to Angular 19. I'm not sure if it came there. Okay, so there was a bug where the application wasn't working because the viewport was being calculated in a different uh, was being calculated at a different time. So it was in Angular 18 and prior. You When the code ran that was determining the aspect of the camera, the viewport had already been the CSS styles of the viewport had already been applied. But after Angular 19, those CSS hadn't been applied. So the viewport size was zero. And so since the viewport size was zero, the camera nothing or actually the entire renderer was the wrong dimensions were set to zero. So nothing was working properly. So what I did to fix that was I changed the lifecycle hook that I was using, and I added some code to check to make sure it wasn't being called too many times and things like that. So that was all good and all that, but one of those two changes, either the upgrade and the timing change or the code that I changed, caused this expression changed after it has been checked error. And it I ended up I've ended up spending a lot of time with it, and not only that, but then after spending all that time, the solution I finally came up with was a solution that I came up with at the beginning, which was kind of a cheap hack of using a set timeout. To me, the fact that set timeout fixes the problem tells me that it's not a problem, right? Like, who cares if the expression changed after it had been checked? I don't care. Just show what the value is. But anyways, yeah, it's been like that. Like, I kind of liked it because it kind of helped me sort of clean up some of the code, but it also I don't like it because I don't know if the cleaned up code was worth the time that was spent to clean it up. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. You know, it's hard to do it. But a few days ago, a guy named I think Simon Com, he asked me a question, and then I went and watched one of his videos at his channel, and it was interesting. Thank you, Rhett. Um, and it was interesting. And one of the things he mentioned was that he was missing a lot of appointments and things like that because once he would kind of get into something, he would just get into it and he would dip down into it. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's just like once you get into something, you're not operating on the same level that you were operating on, and a lot of times it's hard to remember what you did during that time. And the one thing that this has shown me is, well, there's two things. One, but the first thing is that this takes me a lot more time and is a lot more frustrating than I thought it was when I first saw it. At the end of the day, I don't know. I just don't know what to think. I think it's not a very useful thing. I think it's important to keep the the console clean of errors because they stack up very quick and it gets almost impossible to do. Debugging becomes much more difficult if you let them stack up. So it's important to keep that clean, and but I think that's kind of a silly error. So I almost feel like a hostage, like a hostage situation where if I want to keep a clean status or console log, I have to fix that bug, and I don't think that bug is actually useful or valuable at all. So that's that. I don't know what to think about that, but yeah, so I'm with Simon Com on that. Kind of dipping out, and you know, maybe. And the thing is like I think things that you do in that dipped out situation, you get to the point where you can only do it when you're dipped out if you don't do something like this, like what I'm doing right now, which is talk about the actual changes and then actually do the changes towards. I know that when I was a kid, we used to have landline telephones, and there were like a lot of phone numbers that I could not remember unless I was actually holding the phone and dialing. Um, but if I was just like sitting at school and somebody, oh, what's so and so's number? I would be, I can't remember. But if I was at home and I had my phone in my hand and I was dialing, I could remember it. It was the same thing with code. You get to where you can do a lot of code, but you can't remember it consciously, so you can't really talk about it. And that's the main reason I do this, um, is so that I could kind of run into these problems and then talk through them and get them like sort of in my conscious mind, not just my whatever that mind is. Um, I suspect that there's more than one kind of subconscious mind. Um, and whatever that layer of sort of, I've always thought it was like, I know that I've watched my health watch and stuff like that during that time, like what gone back and looked at the things, and I know that like my heartbeat and all that, as I drop into those lower layers of consciousness where I'm coding and I don't really remember anything that happened during that time, that that my heartbeat drops into the 40s, into the low 40s, like 41, even maybe even into the high 30s, while I'm in that mode. And I do spend a lot of time in that mode. Like when I code professionally, I just get quiet, heads down, I'm not talking and all that. This is what I do so that I can sort of be able to understand those things. But so now let's get to the reality. One of the other things is what I learned on this is, and in order to avoid this sort of thing in the future, I really need to do an initialization, and I need to do an initialization where I um, do an init screen and uh, show the different inits that are happening, like setting camera aspect, um, setting the dimensions. I think I set the dimensions for something called a raster, something like that. I can't really remember. Uh, but like I set that up right at the beginning of this project, but then I didn't even like keep track of it. So then, you know, um, it'd probably be good if I actually enumerated all of the initializations that need to happen. And then this one is going to take file up. The next one is going to have file uploads and file downloads. And during that file upload, I probably need to reinitialize. So if I do that, I could probably avoid these expression changed after init has been checked, after it has been checked errors. Um, so that is a lesson learned. I think I am pretty happy. Not happy. Happy is definitely the wrong word, but I am. What did I do in here? I had to set the size for the build. Um, I am fairly satisfied with this solution of just let's see, Alt Ac. So basically, I have a set timeout that's set to 0 that sets this value, and it makes that console log go away. I do hate the idea of adding code, um, but adding like 4 lines of code just so I don't have a silly console error. But you know, you do, a guy's got to do what a guy's got to do. Sometimes you just got to do what things you don't want to do. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at these different things. This is going to be video 321, and it will go out, I believe, on December 16th. And one thing I did change is that I used to just watch a video that I was getting ready to upload, and then upload it, and then watch the video, yesterday's video, and then create this video. And I've changed this to where I upload the videos right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the video. Okay, so I'm uploading videos ahead of time and then setting the time so that they happen at 8 a.m. Eastern every 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 day. And then since I'm 3 days ahead, so that means that so that'll be good. And then all I have to do is upload the watch yesterday's, upload it, set the date for the correct date. So that will kind of make things make like probably knock like time off my day because I watch them at double speed. But sometimes these videos are like 40 minutes long, so that will save 20 minutes in the evening of because I only have to watch one of the videos, the one I'm getting ready to upload that will be coming out in a couple of days. But anyway, so let's go here. So this Angular JSON change was so that the build would work. I think my builds are like 1.5 megabytes, and so I changed it, or maybe it was like 2.1 megabytes. I don't know. I changed it so that we could do that. This I'm going to commit that on its own. So basically, I've staged this one change, and I'm going to say get status, just double check that I just have one thing staged. Yep. And then I'm going to say get commit -m, and I'm going to say that this is a video 321, and then increases the budget for the distribution application. All right, so that's nice and clean. I just suddenly, and I'm working. Oh, well, I guess that makes sense that I would do it as part of 1902. I mean, that's not perfect, but it's not, but it's fine. I don't know if I even want this. I probably don't even want this. I don't think this is useful. So I'm going to get rid of that. And then that will break things. So let's go over here and fix the things that got broken, or they get broken. Okay, so this is just, no, this is actually broken. So let's go over here, this 3 service, and get rid of this line of code. Let's see. Let's see if I can find another one. Go there, get rid of this line of code. So basically that was one of my attempts to try to figure out how to fix the error, and it didn't do what I was hoping. I was kind of hoping that it would make the code a little clearer, and I don't really think it did. And I was hoping, because initialize is too generic, and yeah, so I don't think it was worth having. All right, so we got rid of that. Let's see. Okay, we do not want this console log, and that is the only thing in here. So let's just go ahead and discard that change. Don't think removing a console log is going to break anything. Okay, so this one we do want to get rid of the console log, but we do have other changes. And I do like the fact that we are publishing changes, that it changed. So it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot, because the form that's listening for the that's subscribed has a reference to the actual camera object, so it knows that it changed anyways. But I still like that, basically publishing and listening. I'm still a bit on the fence on whether in the next version that I start next month, if like the form should have its own copy, um, and then it updates its own copy. It doesn't update the the main copy, the services copy. Like, should I keep those separate? I know that like a lot of people really believe that you should keep those things separate, and a lot of problems go away if you do that, especially when it comes to the screen re-updating. Uh, because then if you create a new version, put it up, the screen knows, oh, okay, something changed. So I don't know. I don't know about that, but we definitely want this change. So I'm going to add that. And then I don't know what the change is in here. It doesn't look like anything's actually changed. Sometimes it does that. It gets just a weird. Okay, so manager component, camera manager. Yeah, so I don't think there were ever any issues in that, so I don't know why that is showing a change. But you know what, this might be a little easier if I go full size. Okay, and that's just some white space, so we don't want that. And then, yeah, I don't think we want this. And then this is kind of different, so, okay. So I'm going to just say, so this 3 service change is just publishing the camera when the aspect ratio changes. Okay, so basically it's very similar to the previous, but same video. Publishes camera change after that aspect ratio is updated. So right now I know I have like an initialization of some kind, but that initial, yeah, see, mark is initialized. I have this thing, but apparently I don't think it's actually initialized yet, because a new initialization thing happened, and I don't think that I'll ever be able to um, guess exactly what all the correct initialization things are. So I think I need like a sort of an array or something, a list of initializations that get completed, and I probably need to have like a loading list while those things are happening. But I'm pretty sure that all of it happens fast enough that you'll never get to see actually see the loading screen unless it just flashes for a second. Okay, so set timeout. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this, and I would so I probably would have, in a production situation, I probably would have put both of those together. Um, that because I don't know. No, I probably would have this as a different commit, but I probably wouldn't make the commit that I'm about to make. I wouldn't say cheap hack to fix. Cheap hack to fix expression error in changed after it has been checked. Error issue. I would probably, instead of saying cheap hack, I'd probably say resolves expression changed after check issue, just to be a little bit more politically correct in a professional environment. I mean, you really don't ever want to put something like this in like production code, professional code. This is like learning code. So so putting that, like, even this gives me the heebie-jeebies because but the thing is like I think anybody who's like technical, who's into a technical thing, realizes that cheap hacks happen every day. You have to you there's just unfortunately that's just the reality of of doing anything. Like I would imagine if you talk to people that build airplanes, sometimes they say, like, oh, we have to put this wire here like this. We would really rather do it a different way, but unfortunately, due to X, Y, and Z, we have to do it this way. And and one way you could say that is a cheap hack, but it's just a professional reality, or it's just a practical reality. Um, so practical reality. But I would not, in a professional environment, ever put anything like this in, especially not in Git, because once it's in Git, it's in there forever, um, and it just doesn't. There's just nothing good can come of it. So I'm glad I got to bring that up. And then there's last but not least are these readmes. Um, Lessons learned. Now, hopefully, in the next app, if I do set up initializations, uh, so that like the whole div, nothing in that component ever even tries to show until the data has become settled and stable, we won't have to have any cheap hacks. Um, and maybe that is why they did it. You know, they just maybe that's why the Angular team did it. Is it's just maybe just a better practice to don't try to render components while things are unstable. Um, if things are changing so fast that it happens faster than it can be updated on the screen, then it doesn't really belong in a component yet. It shouldn't be surfaced to the to the UI yet until it's stable. Maybe that's the lesson to take away. Um, I learned a long time ago that you're wrong a lot. And a lot of times when something like this is sort of nagging at you and all that's sort of an indication that you have something to learn. So, anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.